Hello and welcome to a short tutorial series I'm going to be doing, leading you up to the processes of being able to do most of the things in the game. So from this tutorial I'm going to teach you the very basics on which you can do yourself and then realise that they're actually a really bad idea and work on it and you make it better and then get better than me at the game and brag. So first things first, I'm going to show you around the complex. This is the tracking station. From here you can move and fly all of your objects which are currently out in space. If you also have any objects landed on Kerbin, such as this chainsaw SSTO here, you can press the recover button. Yes, I do want to recover, and you will get your Kerbal back. Welcome back, Newly. Also, if you are in career mode, you may gain science and the parts will give you some money. Currently we're not in career mode though, I'm simply showing you the sandbox. And essentially with that station you can move to anywhere in the solar system. Actually I should probably show that off. It moves just like the normal camera would. It's a 3D world, nicely rendered world actually. All the renders in this are extremely nice. And as you can see, you scroll out a little bit. This is the main orbit. This is as high as you need to be to orbit Kerbin. This is too high to orbit Kerbin. I didn't mean to go that high. This is where the moon is. You will be going there eventually. This is where Minmus is, which is Kerbin's second Earth. And if we scroll out further, we can see the orbit of Kerbin. No, the orbit of Kerbin. These are asteroids. You can go and catch these if you want. Personally, I've never seen any interest in catching them, so I've never caught them. But there's a few interesting things you can do with that, such as an asteroid base. Out here we have Juna, that is the red planet that looks a little bit like a bowling ball. No, pool ball, even. There we go. Ice caps, possibly snow. This is its moon. It's called Ike. But enough showing you around the solar system. As you can see, it's incredibly vast. If we go to Joule and scroll in, you can simply see how many moons we would have to go to finally get you understanding every single one and seeing every single detail of them. So I'm not going to be flying to every single moon today. I'm going to show you around the VAB next. This is the vehicle assembly building. If you want to go to space, this is where you'll be spending a lot of time, especially when you're new to the game. So here you can see all the available command modules. The reason you can't use this is that it's a strap-on that you add later. Don't take that out of context. And as you can see here, we've got, let's just put down a command pod Mark 1 randomly. We have fuel tanks here, lots of different types of fuel tanks. This is just liquid fuel. You will want liquid fuel and oxidizer, which is a tank like this, to get to space, because liquid fuel engines do need oxidizer in space, otherwise the fire would not work. These are engines. You can get in the engines tab. It's quite simple. There's a lot of things here. I won't go through them all, because that would take way too long. If you do have the game, then you can explore these yourself. This is the command and control sector. Currently this page is slightly empty, but these are some useful things. This is the advanced inline stabilizer. Basically with this you get more control over your craft, and if you have no normal torque in your capsule, which is moving yourself around without using fins in the atmosphere, then you're going to need this. These are RCS thruster blocks. You can actually find the RCS fuel tanks in here. For instance, let's find one. These are RCS tanks. We have the medium-sized one, and we have the small-sized one. You can also get rounder ones to put on as a stack instead of doing them on the side, but it's actually slightly better to do them on the side sometimes, so, you know, depending on what you want. This is the aerodynamics tab. We're going to go back to the structural tab soon. Here you can find most of the things that you're going to be doing with planes. As you can see, we've got some big fins that you will need for your bigger rockets to keep them stable as you're going to orbit, flaps for planes, air intakes for jet engines, which you use on planes, nose cones, we're going to put one on top of our SAS here, and general fins. So let's just do that. This is not going to take us to space, by the way. This is the structural panel. Here you can find many things. This, for instance, is a radial attachment point. You can basically just attach anywhere and attach anything to it. Say if we wanted to attach them there, we could, but I'm not going to. We have rover parts, we have structural panels which can be used to make your crafts look nice. They're mainly what they're used for. we have these little cool things which are just... While they don't seem that useful yet, as you develop in the game you will realise you do want to use them. These are the more important things though here. These are decouplers. There's a few huge ones and smaller ones. You see, if you attach a decoupler, it now adds a thing to this bottom right bit. This is your staging. If you put the engine, when you hover over it, it'll highlight which part it is. You see it's highlighting green. This is the engine. If you put the engine below the decoupler, the engine will not work correctly. It will simply burn and the decoupler will stop any thrust coming out of the engine. Now if you turn it the other way round, the decoupler will activate before the engine. To activate a stage, you'll press space. So I press space once, it will activate the decoupler. I press space again, it will activate the engine. If you don't fully understand my explanation here, I'm actually just quite rushing this because I'm trying to get through all of the buildings. There are much better tutorials you can find on other people's channel, such as Scott Manley's. Link will be in the description. So there we go. We're actually going to add another tank here, and a more powerful engine. This LV T30 will do the job nicely. Here is a utility panel. Here you can find grabbing units, used to latch onto certain things, mostly asteroids. This is the radial decoupler. No, the inline clampetron. Completely wrong there. Basically, you place it down like any other part, but when you open it, you have a docking port, which you can dock to and use it on things like space planes and space stations, which you will be making in the future. These are lights. You don't necessarily need them, but you might want them. These are solar panels. Don't open them in the atmosphere. You right-click on them once in the game to open them, because they will explode. This is the science tab. In sandbox mode, you will not need this tab whatsoever, unless of course you want to make your craft look cool. So, for now, we're going to ignore this because we're in sandbox. Right. So there's parachutes in here, solar panels, thermal generators, batteries, rover wheels, storage containers for Kerbals, cargo bays that you can put on your huge planes, ladders. Everything you would possibly want is probably going to be in the utility. As you can see, we have docking ports which aren't covered up here. Covered up docking port like so. We have a launch escape system in case something goes wrong, mainly for use on bigger crafts, but it can be used to make some nice looking planes, as I will show you in the future. Right, so now I've pretty much showed you all the tabs. If you click on Enable Advanced Mode, you can see Filter by Function, Filter by Module, Filter by Resource, and Filter by Manufacturer, along with Filter by Tech Level and Subassemblies. You will not necessarily need any of these tabs apart from subassemblies if you learn how to use the main set categories. This is basically, you can choose parts and then you put them in here and you can bring them out and put them on any craft you want. As you can see, I've got a rover here. This thing works on planets and it has some parachutes for atmospheric entries. So if we enable simple mode, we're back to normal. These are interesting tools, but you will not need to know about these until much further on in the game. Let me give you a reason. I advise you ignore this for now. This is the Action Groups tab. Here, you can change it from pressing space to activate your stage to pressing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 0. Pressing space you can also change. Pressing G you can also change. Lights you can also change, RCS, SAS, brakes and abort. These buttons will become more obvious in a more detailed tutorial. This is currently just a brief overview. We'll probably go over these things in more detail in another episode. Now, you see these buttons at the top. You can click New, this will delete your entire craft. Load, you can load previous crafts. As you can see, you can insert things. As you can see, you can insert things that you have previously built and saved, and named, which you can do up there, and you can insert things from the other place, which we will explore in the future. I think it's best we ignore this for now. This is the naming part. You can name your craft anything you want. For this tutorial, we're going to call our craft Poop. This is the mission flag. You can pick any flags you like, and you can even add your custom flags. For this one, we're going to pick this nice little Russian Soviet Union one that look, yeah, it's not really Russian, it just looks like it. You see, it's different slightly. So, if we wanted to, we could save this craft. Personally, I'm not going to save it. Exit will take you out of the vehicle assembly building, which we are currently in, and take you back to the previous view we were in where we could scan around and select the buildings. Now if you press launch, which is the green button, you'll have a loading screen. Correct! Well done! And you'll see some text pop up just telling you what time warp speed you're on. That will go away quickly, and it'll say hilarious things like focus poop. As you can see in the top here, I've got 2 mods installed, but these are both client-side mods, so you don't need to worry about those changing my game whatsoever. These are resources. As you can see, we've got electric charge stored in our command pod, and also in this engine down here. We've got monopropellant, liquid fuel, oxidizer, and various other options will appear later on. Monopropellant is essentially RCS. These are missions that you will use in career mode. We have docking, orbit map, and staging mode. You can also press M to switch to map mode. Now, what you've noticed is there's little buttons at the bottom. If you press R, it will activate your RCS. If you have RCS thrusters, it means you can tilt your craft forward and backwards using compressed oxygen. If you press T, it will turn on a thing called SAS. You pretty much permanently want this on unless you have a specific reason for not having it on, as it is ridiculously useful. Pressing F will also activate it while you're holding down F. You're not really going to need that, and I don't quite remember the button for RCS because I never use them. B will put on your brakes, but that's only for rover wheels, etc. G will change the gears. We don't have any gears on this, and clicking this button will turn on the lights. Also, U will turn on the lights for some reason. G will do the gears, and B will do the brakes. But of course, it's a toggle with the brakes if you actually click the button. So, as you can see, we've got a throttle which is going up and down. This is because I'm holding shift to make it go up, control to go down. If I press Z, it will launch it straight up to the top without me pressing anything. If I press X, it will cut the throttle straight away. Now I'm going to press space. Now as you can see, our staging is configured correctly. In fact, I'm actually going to put that engine in the same stage so they activate at the same time. So, now we're going to press space, and we will launch into the air. Now you can see a little Kerbal in the bottom right. EVA means he will get out of his pod and probably fall to his doom, and pressing IVA or C will let you have an internal view. This cockpit doesn't have a particularly good one, so I advise you use the external view or a different cockpit. That's hilarious, isn't it? You can press full stop or the comma key to select your time warp, and you can also click up here to change your time warp, but I advise you be using full stop and comma. Pressing M, of course, goes to the map view, that's what you've already learned, and WAS and D will move your craft with pitch and yaw. Pressing E and Q will rotate it, like so. So we're going to point over the sea, because that's an efficient way of getting to space, but as you can see, our stage is about to run out of fuel in the bottom left. Now what we're going to do is, because we've run out of fuel now, you can press space again, and it will activate the second stage. Now we're losing speed, so obviously this isn't going to be a successful mission, but while I'm here it can be a good opportunity to show you some things. Now with SAS on, you can see we get these cool new things. If you click the prograde marker, it will point towards this marker here. If you click the retrograde marker, it will point you towards this thing here. This is retrograde, the other one was prograde. If you click normal, it will send you to the north of the planet. If you click anti-normal, it will send you to the south, pointing to the south, that is. Radial will point you directly in the air, and anti-radial will point you directly to the ground. So these can be quite useful if you want to keep something in orbit at a specific direction. Now we're just going to burn towards the floor and let Newly die horrible, painful deaths. But don't worry, it's all in a video game. There's various other things you can do, such as close the nav wall, etc., but you don't really need to pay attention to those. They're just options that you'll use later on, but aren't really significant at any point in the game. They're just useful things. And it will automatically send you to the escape menu, which you can revert to the vehicle assembly building, which will turn back time and Newley is now alive again. Thanks, game. Now we're going to exit the vehicle assembly building, and I'm going to say goodbye for now. It has been 15 minutes, so I want to thank you all for watching. Please like, favourite and or subscribe. Tomorrow we'll go through the research and development building, we'll go through the astronaut complex, and we'll go through the administration building, possibly the mission control if we have time. All of this has to be done in career mode, which is why I'm doing that in a separate video. So, thank you for watching. Please like, favourite and or subscribe. I have been whatever the hell my name is, 1 arrow 1 mile. And I will see you another time. I hope this is I hope this has been informative, and I will see you in the future.